This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Well, there's one of the hosts on a Saturday morning, Randy Blake, cooking breakfast over at the VFW. So you're stuck with me, but no worries. I've got some cool information for you on a Saturday morning, and then we'll jump into the second half of the show. I've got a recorded section with Randy, so don't worry, you'll hear from him in a little bit. And who knows, he may give us a call. You know how Randy is. But no, go check out the VFW breakfast this morning over on State Farm, or off of State Farm Road. I mean, you can see it on State Farm. They're technically on their own road there, but you know what I mean. State Farm Road. Go on over there and check Randy out and tell him hello and give him a hard time for deciding to cook instead of coming on All About Home Construction on a Saturday morning. I mean, come on. No, we do appreciate him. We appreciate all that those guys do over there as well. And, that it's just fun. I mean, especially as we really think about it. I mean, here we are the week essentially before Veterans Day. And so that's what better time than to go over there and just sort of support that organization and that group. And we appreciate everything they do, as all of our longtime listeners know here on WATA, and especially right here on All About Home Construction. Hey, speaking of All About Home Construction, don't forget we have the podcast, All About Home Construction on podcast. And I know several of you don't like to listen to podcasts, or you're not there, and that's fine. I understand that. But if you miss something, or maybe you want to share something that we say, or you want to go back and maybe you have a question that maybe you can see we've talked about in the past, you can go back to the archives on the podcast, and that's what's so cool about that. And then of course also on the podcast to share the podcast. Another way we're sharing it is we're slowly moving all the shows over to the YouTube channel, because we know that everyone YouTube is something easy for all of our listeners to find too. So if you don't carry around a phone with a podcast or app or something like that, that's fine. You can still find it however you watch your YouTube. I say that because, it used to be that you have to log into a computer and go to YouTube. I mean, I remember, especially working here at this radio station, right? Like when you go in and YouTube was the thing, and it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to search for something here. And you had to be on a desktop computer because, that was back when maybe you had a laptop, but most people didn't have laptops. Yeah, you still had desktops. I mean, I'm that old. And so my point is, now you can YouTube on your phone. I mean, I think that I would argue that that's probably the most convenient way that most of you listen to or watch YouTube rather on your phone. But you can also do it on your TV. I mean, I got a Roku TV, and I sit at home, and I think I watch more YouTube on TV than I do TV on TV sometimes. But I'm just weird like that. Anyway, and don't worry, and if you don't want to see us, the YouTube videos for the podcast is not really videos. They're really just a still picture, but you can listen to them. So you can play them while you're doing all your other stuff. So that's the cool thing about that. So anyway, I'm just rambling on a Saturday morning because, like I said, Randy's over at the VFW cooking, and just, appreciate those guys. And again, going over and give him a hard time for not making it to today's show. I do want to have a live show, though, because there's so many things that we, so many times when we have a recorded show that we can't get listener questions or input. And so I do want to leave today open the first half. Like I said, if you want to give me a call, 828-262-1567. And what I'd like to do is give you the opportunity to ask those questions so that over the next few weeks we can answer those questions too. And maybe even devote a whole show to a specific topic too. So I'm kind of leaving that open. Of course, you can always ask those questions. You can always voice those concerns or maybe those topic ideas that you want to hear about on our Facebook page, All About Home Construction. You're welcome to post it on there. You're also welcome to, what many of you do, is send us messages through that page, that Facebook page. We do have a All About Home Construction at gmail.com. I know I don't push that one out a lot, but it is an opportunity, All About Home Construction at gmail.com. But we do have a caller on the air. Good morning, caller. Who are we speaking with? Oh, there's Randy.
Yeah, it's me.
How are you, man?
Good. We got so excited into cooking this stuff. I went, oh, my gosh, we was listening to Top 40 in 1975 on Casey Kasem.
Oh, nice. Well, I was just sitting here talking about how, that you're over at the VFW and everyone's supposed to go over there and give you a hard time because you're not on the radio this morning because you were over at the VFW. But now that you're on the radio, they have to go over and give you a hard time for being late to the radio show.
Yeah, belated.
But anyway, I'm glad. So I was just telling all the listeners out there about all the cool ways they can listen to us and reach out. And I did invite all of them to give us a call, 828-262-1567. If they would like to have any topic ideas, we'll still take that as the day goes on. And again, they can reach out to the Facebook page, and I told them all about the other cool stuff we got going on. So anyway. Let's see, Randy, what's going on with you over at the VFW?
Oh, we got everything out in the chafing dishes. Captain Mike's here for the Bloody Marys and screwdrivers, and we got our first customer.
Nice. Love it, man.
And so we're ready to go.
Well, is your boy Franklin over there? Is he cutting those?
Yeah, Frankie. How is it, Steve?
Fabulous as usual.
Who we talking to? On the radio.
Oh, hey. Y'all get down here before it's all gone. This stuff is tasty, I'm telling you.
Nice. So what's the best thing so far?
Well, it's kind of hard to pick something that's the best because it's also gosh darn good. The gravy, I'm a real big fan of this gravy that's made down here, but, they keep adding to the meat section. So there's, you've got choice after choice of this type of beef and meat, and I just go for the bacon, I go for taters and the eggs, and then I cover it all, smother it. I smother it all in that gravy. That's about it for me. I got to sign off. I got to get another bite here.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, and thanks for all you do over there at the VFW and supporting them. So, all right, so bacon and eggs. I was curious, so you said Frankie is there. Does he have his pork tenderloin going on, Randy?
Oh, yes. Matter of fact, Tom Rainey's here, and but he can't talk because he's too mean to talk. And we got grits and biscuits for the vegetarians.
All right. Grits are one of those things. I think I've told you before. Like, I don't dislike grits, but to me, there's better things than grits, and so I never eat grits. But I feel like when I go to places like that, like the VFW's breakfast, like that's a good opportunity for me to get grits because I can eat a little bit, and because I don't dislike them, I just like other things better, And
we what else? Oh, Dave's casserole, French toast casserole.
All right,
that goes over real good. That's a new thing that we introduced last month.
Nice. Nice. And a little maple syrup over that.
Well, we got syrup. How about that?
All right, that's fair.
One thing about maple syrup, if you don't use it fast, it goes bad.
Right. Well, and I say that because most of the time, most of the syrup, like the average pancake, whatever syrup you buy that you think is maple flavored, is really not even maple syrup. Now, I know you can buy like actual 100% maple syrup, but most of what you buy is that artificial stuff. It tastes like maple syrup, but it's not really maple syrup.
But it's brown sugar boiled down.
Yep.
And a lot of people, that's how we grew up because we couldn't afford syrup. Mama put a pot on the wood stove and boil it down. So
there you go.
So that's what we eat. And, but one thing that, we got a lot of repairs supposed to go on too, VFW, and we got a sponsorship program for those who died. And, a lot of people don't realize that our memorial down here, has a list of every veteran that's died in Watauga County in World War I, World War II, Korean. I guess we was pretty lucky we didn't lose anybody in Vietnam, did we, Colin? We do have Vietnam, just not Desert Storm and Desert Shield. And we're wanting to fix up the artillery and or not the auxiliary, but the memorial. You know, as people get older, you know, the last World War II vet, I think, in Watauga County died last year.
Right.
See, and we don't have any more. And so the sponsorship program is to award the ones that have died for our freedom. And I want people to remember that.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of people don't care.
Sure.
But growing up in a military family, and I was raised that way.
Right. Well, I mean that's the thing, and like I said, especially as we look at this, essentially the week of you know, the week before or the week of Veterans Day, as we sit here and think about that coming up next Friday, you know, it's a great opportunity, and that's what I was saying before before you came on, is it's a great week to go out and support the vets, because for many reasons, but of course the added fact that next Friday is Veterans Day, and so it's really cool. And so I would challenge all the listeners to go over there today and go look at the memorial, like you said, because I think you know, we forget that one is there, because over the last, you know, handful of years, we've got some press on a new one downtown, but the original and the one that's dedicated to those people here in the county, of course, over off of State Farm at the VFW there. And so that's cool, and it's cool that you guys are maintaining that, but also looking at doing some upgrades.
Deb's even got an uncle down there.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So, and which, you know, we always do a ceremony for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on Memorial Day, which
Right.
they deserve it. And a lot of people don't respect it, but the point of it is, they were somebody's son or daughter.
Sure.
And people need to remember that.
That's it. Well, I'll tell you what, Randy, we need to take a break. I'm going to take our first break, and we'll come right back right after this. Thanks for listening to us. That's right, all about home construction here at WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Happy Saturday out there. Speaking with Randy, who's live at the VFW. Good morning, Randy.
Morning.
So, so again, going over the VFW, lots of cool breakfast going on over there this morning. So I want to go into a little bit about our topic today. And Randy, you know, so many times when, excuse me, on the show, we talk so much about, you know, like, you got to fix this, you got to fix that, you know, this maintenance, this, how do you maintain that, that kind of thing. And then, you know, and we just got off the topic recently about the log houses and things like that. But I was kind of curious, you know, when you think about what, as a homeowner, as someone who lives in a home, whether you're building a home or you're got an existing home, there's going to be maintenance up for this house.
Well, you know, the perfect home today, if everybody could afford it, would be brick.
Well, and that's what I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, you have there's always maintenance, inside, outside, upside down, right? There's always maintenance. But when you look at the siding, I think you're right. I think brick is probably the closest thing to leave it. You know, put it up and leave it. Is that fair?
Yeah, yes, I would say. And probably the best case scenario would be brick, but not everybody can afford brick. But, you know, even brick has to be pressure washed from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not really necessarily with a chemical, but just a pressure washer and mild detergent.
Right.
But you need one thing you got to take care of is make sure you're not using a detergent that will kill your flowers. And so...
Well,
that's...
So you say that, but I've also heard of people sealing their bricks. Is that something that's a necessity? Is that just to keep the mildew and mold from growing? Like, what's the advantage of that?
No, just to seal it, keep your water, because brick is not porous. It will not allow water to penetrate it, but the mortar is okay.
Right. Okay.
And the mortar will absorb rain or ice and stuff. But a good mason, if he, you know, a lot of people don't think about it, but that they put that joint in real easy, and pointing that brick up or pointing that rock up, that actually waterproofs that mortar joint, okay, because it slicks the outside of it. All right.
Right.
But if you don't, rock has to be waterproofed every couple of years.
Right.
Because that mortar's laid at a total different consistency of moisture level.
Sure.
And when it's done like that, then it will suck up twice as much water as a brick or a block CMU wall.
Right.
So, but if you don't do your point your joints up, then you'll have to waterproof your mortar joints. Mm-hmm. And that's the big difference.
Well, and that's what I was curious, because I've heard, you know, the various products that seal, you know, to seal things, but even then, I mean, you've like you said, you got to go back, you got to wash that first, and you know, some kind of soapy water kind of thing, and clean that off, but the good thing is, when we're talking about low maintenance, that's not a yearly project. You're sealing that every handful of years, and even then, it's a spray on. It's not like it's not like a complete.
One thing the waterproofing will do to your, because if you got a side that never hits the sun or anything,
mm-hmm.
that side will grow moisture and stuff. So if you pressure wash it off and then you seal it, that will stop the growth of mold on your brick or your block. Okay. Which we don't have many more block houses anymore because of the R value or energy code.
Right.
You don't see that anymore.
Well, I mean, I know. Like, sure, when you think back, I guess what, the 50s, 60s. That's really when you saw that trend of those block houses. Is that's?
Yeah. Well, they were affordable. See.
Right.
And they were a structure. Everybody had a wood stove. And so they didn't worry about it, because once you got the inside heated up, then you were good to go. And like up in West Virginia, golly, they had concrete blocks, solid block, concrete blocks as the house.
Right.
And I remember my aunt living in one of those, and it was cold to me, but, you know, everybody up there had floor furnaces.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been in some of those, some concrete, you know, some block houses, and to me, the problem is you've got such a swing in temperatures. You know, you got that cold this time of year. You got those cold mornings. In the summertime, you got those. You know, it's. I mean, block it is essentially a thermal heat sink, right? And so in the summer, you get that hot. The sun heats it up, and to me, that is the downside. But you hit on a big point there. You said that, you know, a lot of block up in places like West Virginia, further north, are solid. I would argue that most of them in North Carolina, especially off the mountain, are not always poured solid, or were not always poured solid.
No, most in the South here was commercial buildings made out of the solid concrete block.
Mm-hmm. So, so those houses, and you can see that if you've ever if you've ever been into a house that's made out of block, you can see the block, because typically they'll have like a stucco or something on the outside just to make it look better, aesthetically. But you can see even through that stucco sometimes where the moisture inside the block, like where the block is heating up differently, sometimes you can see that, kind of like what we see on the we talk about this time of year when we get those heavy frost and you see the roof line and you can see where the insulation is and where it's not. You could see that same effect on a block house.
Yeah, well, think about the time period, because those houses in West Virginia all had coal stoves, or if they didn't, they had oil stoves, and that was something that's how they heated, just like, golly, our house in Cleveland, I know everybody, no, I ain't no Yankee. I live on the farm where my mother's born. They had coal stoves that were converted. Where's my round? Oh, my round pan. And coal stoves that was converted into oil stoves.
Yep.
Yes, I'm told. I remember when the milkman come and dropped milk off the house.
I don't know what to think about you, but I mean that's the thing, but going back to the maintenance of a house, that like you said, brick in a modern day house is probably the least maintenance. I mean, as far as maintenance free, that's as close as you're going to get to maintenance. But
correct, I would think so.
So one thing you don't see a lot of is people like adding brick to the house. I mean, like typically you think of brick as like you have it to, when you build the house, you put brick up. Is there really a convenient and a relatively affordable way to add brick to to any house, or is there so much that involves in like changing it over? It's not a matter of just putting up brick, in other words.
No, because brick has to come off a foundation of its own because of the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not like siding where you just nail on the side. You can't. We have, like in Georgia, when I built down there, what we did was we took a 3-inch angle iron that was made from hanging brick on the side of the house.
Yep.
And so, Raleigh, I'll tell you what, these veteran women are wild. Coming up here pinching me. And but we took an angle iron and we hung it on. We took lag bolts.
Yep.
And every 16 inches we fastened it to the side of the wall, and that brick was 22 foot off the ground.
Right. Okay.
But we also had a floor system that was designed to support the brick hanging on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And because we remodeled the house, CEO'd it 8 years ago, and they had put brick on the dormer, but the dormer wasn't strong enough to carry the weight of the brick.
Yep.
So we had to go back, and we had to start all the way in the basement with steel beam flinch plates and jack the floor up and transfer it from one end of the house to the other end of the house to take care of the dormer that had brick on it.
Right.
And
right.
see, the brick on the back wall was straight all the way to the top, but the brick on the sides was only on one rafter and one wall frame, and it was causing the sag on the floor.
Yeah.
Most people don't think about weights. I can't remember what brick weighs because I've only done one brick house. And a block weighs, 55, 60 pounds for a lightweight, 80, 85 for heavyweight.
Yep.
And
well, your standard brick, the one that's like 3.5 inches by what? Like what are they? 3.5 by 2.25, 8 inches.
Actually, probably. I can't remember. I know it's 3.5 wide, 2 inches thick, and 6
8
inches long.
6 to
and that
8,
allows
yeah.
for all your 3/8 mud joints to make it even. See.
Yeah, and so most of those weigh about 4.5 to 5 pounds, depends on the actual there's a little bit of different type of brick, but yeah, typically you're looking 4 to 5 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And but it see, that's a lot of added weight, and when you design a brick house, you have to add for that. Or same again, you know, being that we deal with more rock here in the high country, your rock can weigh anywhere from 110 pounds all the way up to 130 pounds, maybe 140 pounds per cubic foot. See? And then you have your mortar involved in it, so that can change it all, the weight of it, you know. And it all starts on your foundation, building it so it supports the weight.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing that, you know, we had that class 2 years ago, was making sure that you carried your loads all the way back to solid ground.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's extremely important.
Yeah. I was looking online, and I found this brick and mortar calculator, and it's actually pretty cool. And so I just did like a random width and height. So I did a 10 by 20 wall. And for the brick, I mean, you're talking about basically 1,400 bricks. And so when you figure in 1,400 bricks in that 200 square feet times 4 is that's a lot of weight.
Yes, it is.
And that was the conservative side of the weight, right? Like I said, times 4. When you multiply that by the time you add in the mortar, by the time you add in all the other, a heavier brick, that is even more weight.
Correct. Now, you'll lose some weight on the mortar as the
right.
water evaporates out. But see, where you're laying that, your brick has to have a 19% moisture rate on it. So your mortar, when you put your mortar on it, the brick don't suck the water out of the mortar, so it dries slower.
I've seen them do that, and it took me a while. When I was younger, I didn't understand why. You see them wet the brick down sometimes, spray it and wash it down. And I always thought it was a matter of just making sure it was no dust on it, but then I realized, like you said, it's really to keep that moisture so that the mortar can dry at a more proper rate, a slower rate.
Yes, correct. And if you're interested in something like that, you can get on a brick company's webpage, and or YouTube, even YouTube. There's some good videos out there on that.
Yeah.
And it will tell you what you need to do. I mean, a lot of homeowners want to do their own projects, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
One of the things that we find a lot of people don't do is put enough brick ties in.
Yep.
Okay? And if you don't put enough brick ties in, then your walls fall.
Yeah.
And remember over here at my store here in Boone, that wall was falling. Green's Construction took it down.
Yep.
So that was important too, because that wall was falling because it was a fake facade without any brick ties on it.
Right. And so it was just stacked up and holding itself, and over time gravity just pulls it down.
So your brick ties are supposed to be on a 2-foot run every 2 foot, as far as not unless they've changed the code on me.
Right.
And but that's how it is. But you got to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what the codes are. The codes are there so that they will help a homeowner, help a contractor.
Yep.
That you can call the insurance board in Raleigh for general contractors. If you got a problem, they'll help you out. But the point is, there's people out there to help you.
Yeah.
Or like our show here. We have people ask questions, and we try to answer them on the air every chance we get.
Right. Well, one thing I saw too, when we're talking about brick, there's other added advantages because it's fire resistant, but it's low maintenance, it's fire resistant. But I'm curious, like I would almost make the argument, we talk so much about a thermal break and kind of that envelope of the house. I would imagine though with brick is because it's all mortared together, you're sticking it all together, and you're creating that
Well, you know,
that
if it's
solid
connected
piece.
right, it's a good building for hurricanes and stuff. If it's
Right.
built right. You know, and we just happen to be in a state that we have some of the best laws on our construction. Just because we got them, the inspector can't stand out there and inspect every brick high and everything, but they sure do want to see everything
Sure.
if they can.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking. Is
And
like,
that's for the consumer. That's
Yeah.
what inspections are for.
yeah.
For the consumer.
Well, that's pretty cool. I'll tell you what. Let's take another break, and then we'll come right back right after this. And all about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to Randy for hanging out at the VFW this morning as we go along with the show. Thanks for listening to us. We'll be right back right after this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And speaking of Randy, where you're at the VFW. You still there, buddy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just
That's
make
right. We're getting people come through.
Love it.
And I've done made one pan of more gravy. Dave don't like my gravy because he don't like burnt gravy.
Well, some people like your gravy because I just heard someone talk about your gravy a minute ago.
Oh, I know. I love it myself. My dear old mammy taught me how to make it. Right here from downtown Violet.
Nice.
You know, I got to commend my uncle. In March of this year, his farm was a century-owned farm.
That's
century-old farm.
That's cool.
So I have to congratulate my uncle.
That's pretty awesome.
And I had a Vietnam vet call in, and there was 14 vets that are on the wall down there. that got killed in Vietnam. So.
Okay, that's good correction there.
So, we got churches. I can't list them all.
Sure.
I'm back in the kitchen, but, you're more than welcome to come and look because you might have a family member,
Yep.
Like I said, Deb does, I don't. Believe it or not, my family members is in West Virginia.
Sure.
And World War II. One of them was in battle, killed, and the other two was flying to his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the Air Force, and instead of going to England, they went to the funeral and hit a mountain, and the whole plane got killed.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, I mean, even accidents happen here.
Yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily anymore. But,
Sure. Well,
but yeah, come by and see. And that's what that's what the sponsorship program is for people to remember our vets.
That's awesome.
And, if you know a vet out there, a lot of these young vets, you might not know it, but they're having a hard time.
right.
I'm the kid that got to hear all the stories when I was little. Where all the other kids was worried about going to sleep, I was worried about what was happening
Sure.
out in the world.
Yeah.
And just happened to be most of the people I listened to or their dads I grew up with were Navy.
Right.
And they talk about Pearl Harbor. A lot of them went through that.
Mm-hmm.
Earl Trevitt, I think he said he was on a destroyer. I might be quoting that wrong, but he was my school bus driver. Worked later with him at the college, and he was a gunner. And he said them kamikazes would come in and stare the dickens out of him.
I bet. Yep.
He said they'd light the sky.
That's wild.
A
Yeah.
lot of people have a lot of hard times, but not a hard time as our veterans as they come back from battle.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, going back into the All About Home Construction, we talked a little bit about a brick house, and you sent me something over the week about stone veneers and some of those manufactured stone. Yeah, Cornerstone being one of the main brands.
That's a very good product, and the way it's made, you still have to waterproof it from time to time. But you're not waterproofing it. You're waterproofing the mortar joint itself, okay? Mm-hmm. There again, see, we're going back to the mortar joint.
Right.
But that's the part that's going to fail down the road. That's the part that's going but a lot of people don't install it correctly.
Gotcha.
And what I mean by that is we've gone back over the years, and even real stone and stuff, and we've had to redo fireplaces because they're not. I personally like to wrap my chimneys, wooden chimneys or masonry chimneys, in felt, then shoot wire laths on.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to stucco your lath because it can't allow any penetration from water. And that's what we're finding is a lot of guys go put the lath on, and as soon as they shoot it on, they stucco it and they stick the rock to it.
Yep.
Okay? So because it doesn't dry fast, the nails that you put on the lath have already started to rust.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest causes we've seen on failures on chimney with culture stone or real stone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been pretty lucky over the years on masons and stuff that are pretty sharp on what they do. Right.
Well, that's it's a talent. It's for sure, and it's one of those fields too, though, that we don't have a ton of in the high country. It's an aging field. Not a lot of new people coming into that. But I will say, though, Randy, you'll appreciate this. I was talking to a former student and ran into him at one of the fast food restaurants, and he had been working for someone laying block and brick for a while now, and he's like starting his own brick business or his own block business.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and so when I heard that, I was like, congratulations, little kid. No, I say kid. He's not. He's in his 20s now. But he said something about it, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. So there is some hope for the future, I guess, is where I was going with that.
Well, You know, to think about most of the rock masons here, you know, that I grew up with, they were truly artists.
Right.
Okay. And it takes and rock work is an artistic job. You know, I posted one picture from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
I think Machu Picchu, that stone job, they don't waste nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, right? When you go back to masonry, it's been around, I mean, since the beginning of housing, right? I mean, we've cut, we've cut rock, we've cut blocks. Can you hear me, Randy? Look at it. He's over there cooking, and he's just ignoring me. But I mean, that's the thing. Like block and brick has been around for such a long time, and but now we have these new products like these.
You know, we did a radio show on major fires around the world.
Yeah.
And it was cities that were all wood, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a good way for an army to defeat an opponent, was with their wood structures, because they could burn them out.
Right.
Brick and rock became the thing of the future. The only difference was it wasn't as the future at that time. Well, most of that rock was picked up, you know, out of the field and used.
Yeah, got it. It's a byproduct of it's a waste product, right? I mean, anyone that's ever
so the farmer can plow his field.
Yeah, anyone that's ever ran a plow in the ground, it doesn't take much of a rock at all to cause a mess. So
one thing I've never done is plow with a horse. I plow with tractors and stuff.
Yeah, well, even with a tractor though, when you hit a rock, it's not the easy going, right? I mean, you
sure can.
I was say you break something, you fill it. It creates a mess. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, that's the thing. And anyway, but that's why though, like you said though, it's fireproof. It's and again, while today we think about R value and rock doesn't. I don't even know what the R value of rock is. I mean, I would imagine it depends so much on the type of rock, but. Again, it's more of a thermal. It's like a heat sink, right? When you heat up rock, I mean that's
it's a U value on it, I would believe.
Yeah,
that's something I'll have to look up and see if rock has R value.
Yeah,
I think Holocore CMU is only 0.4.
Right. Well, I mean that's it. I'll tell you what, we need to take our last break, and we'll come right back right after this. Thanks for listening to us. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And Randy, a couple more minutes here. You're over at the VFW, though. And while we go off the air at 9 o'clock, you will actually be at the VFW until 11 o'clock making that wonderful breakfast. Isn't that right?
Correct. While we were off the air, we had somebody listen to the radio show, and he wanted to know how you determine the 19% moisture level. Well, it's not too hard in hot weather. And because most time down like the beaches and stuff, you don't have any dew on the ground.
Right.
You do have sea spray and stuff like that. But once you wet it, and you'll see it saturate, then it's ready to go. Here in the mountains, it's not a big thing because we got trees and stuff that will protect the brick. And so most time, Mason wet them down with a hose, and that's it. He don't continuously spray them,
Right.
And so it's just one of them things that you learn.
Right. Well, I would imagine if you really wanted to, you could use something like a moisture meter, check it that way. But yeah, like I'm with you. Like once you figure it out, it's almost it's just one of those tricks of the trade, right? Like you just sort of know when it's dry and when it's wet.
Well, if you got a good teacher, you don't have no trouble.
Right. Right. Makes sense.
And that's important, having a good teacher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or a good reader. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they decide to try it out themselves. Watauga, they do have a masonry class now.
Yep.
They used to have a very good masonry class and construction class when I went.
Yeah.
But being I was deemed that I was going to go to college, I was not allowed to take those because my daddy said he grew up doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me doing it. Well, unfortunately, I didn't go to college.
Well, I mean, that's what we like to push so much on this show, right? Is you don't have, and there's nothing wrong with going to a 4-year college. I've got a 4-year degree, but you don't have to, and I think too many times we forget about that. And in fact, I don't want to get off the topic here because I got just a minute left, but I was talking with David Jackson just yesterday from the Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about how so many there's just this job opportunity for kids to come out of school and not go to a 4-year school. And so anyway, it was really cool. Well, we got the last minute or two here, and so Randy, again, get everybody out to come say hello to you at the VFW, and then try all the good food. Like you said, you'll be there until 11 o'clock, and I guess the challenge this week. So last time we had the challenge of Frankie got the challenge of coming out and trying the pork tenderloin. Is that Frankie's challenge again today?
No, actually, I cooked it today.
Oh.
Dave cut it. Don't forget about a sponsorship program. You can call the post at 264-9570 and talk to them about it. And that's a veteran-driven thing.
Awesome. Well,
I got the man head over the food account operations here. He's breaking eggs. He's doing a good job. I got Scott's here. How about that?
Nice. Well, listen, do me a favor, since you're there, as we go into Veterans Day this coming week, do me a favor and tell all the veterans there, thank you for their service. Thank you for all that they do and all that they have done and all they continue to do. And so if you'll pass that message along from all of us here at All About Home Construction, I'd appreciate that. And then again, just go over and thank the veterans yourself by helping and support the cause.
Well, thank you all for allowing me to cook and talk on the radio at the same time. We're getting complaints already.
All right, man. All About Home Construction in the books. We'll see you next time.